Senator Mitchell has SB 1380 and Homeless Coordinating and Financing Council. So you have the floor, Senator.
Thank you very much, Senator. Thank you, colleagues. I'm pleased to present to you SB 1380. Let me start by thanking you, Senator, and your committee staff for working carefully with us on amendments to the bill. The amendments clarify that a representative of the Department of Housing and Community Development will serve on the Coordinating Council and allow the Council to invite individuals who have experienced homelessness to participate in meetings and provide information to the Council, among other technical amendments. This bill will clarify that California is a housing first state and establish the California Homeless Coordinating Council, requiring that departments administering state programs targeted to address homelessness collaborate with the Coordinating Council to incorporate the core components of Housing First into their programs by July 1, 2019. Housing First is an evidence-based model that uses housing as a tool rather than a reward for recovery, and that centers on providing or connecting homeless people to permanent supportive housing and services as quickly as possible. Housing First providers offer services as needed and as requested on a voluntary basis and does not make housing contingent on participation in receiving those services. In January, I was asked by the President Pro Tem, I
know, it's like that.
It's been a long day. I'm going to start over. In January, along with President Pro Tem De Leon and other colleagues, I announced this plan to adopt the Housing First model and Homeless Coordinating Council here in California. Recently, I met with the architects of the successful Utah Housing First model program in Salt Lake City. We met with legislators, local government officials, and program deputies who tackled homelessness head-on with a successful approach that centered around a strong state and local level homeless coordinating committee. We found during our time in Utah was that California also should consider a more global strategy to improve coordination at the state level. However, despite the fact that most state programs already adopt the core components of Housing First, only some localities are successfully working together with state and federal programs to house their chronically homeless. The state has several programs designed to fund housing for homeless residents, but it has no coordinated plan or program to address homelessness systematically. And while almost every state with a large homeless population has an interagency council on homelessness, California does not have such a coordinating body. It's important because it's those coordinating bodies that foster collaboration among the state agencies who impact homelessness, as well as working collaboratively with local government dealing with the same issue and population on the ground. So why this bill? SB 1380 would require programs funding housing for homeless residents to use evidence-based practices recognized and adopted throughout all federal agencies. 1380 poses that we cannot end chronic homelessness in California without a committed state response to end it, one that requires consistent focus and continual collaboration between state, local, and state-federal partnerships. Only through a coordinated, focused, committed state response as facilitated through this bill can the state step up and do its part to appropriately address homelessness in our state. I have here with me today several advocates. First of all, Joe Bonnewell, who's the alleged advocate on homelessness for Housing California.
Thank you.
And I'll ask him to speak on behalf of the bill.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Senator Mitchell. Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here speaking on behalf of SB 1380 alongside Senator Mitchell. SB 1380 is going to streamline and make more effective California's response to homelessness by ensuring that our programs align with evidence-based solutions such as Housing First, and by enabling the coordination of state policy through creating the Homeless Coordinating and Financing Council. Based on my count, at least 42 states across the United States have interagency or coordinating councils on homelessness. California is one of 8 states without a multi-agency state-level response to homelessness, despite having 21% of the entire nation's homeless population within our borders, and also experiencing a rise in homelessness from 2014 to 2015. with these types of statistics, we need a better connected response that'll result in more comprehensive solutions. And the council wouldn't be another state agency. Rather, it would hold regular meetings among agency staff, local government, and stakeholders, which would coordinate the state's response to homelessness. The administrative responsibilities for the council would fall within the purview of an existing position, the Assistant Director for Homeless and Housing Policy at the Department of Housing and Community Development, which means that we shouldn't need any greater amount of funding to operationalize the council. In fact, the council would end up bringing additional resources into the state by ensuring that California is leveraging maximum available federal funding for programs targeted at individuals and families experiencing homelessness. It will also ensure, yes, I can. We've seen in, yeah, sure, I understand. We've seen in recent months that, we have issues with Caltrans is effectively a landlord for many people in Los Angeles and cities across California living in tents under highway overpasses. We have water quality issues resulting from pollution as a result of homeless encampments, and we have negative state policies coming out of the Water Board and the Department of Fish and Wildlife regarding these. And we also have a massive burden on our healthcare system from people who are chronically homeless rotating through our emergency rooms and increasing inpatient care costs. We need to coordinate with these agencies. We need to reach across the aisles. We need to break down silos and come up with innovative and dynamic solutions to remedy this problem. Thank you very much.
Hey, thank you. Can we keep it short, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Frank Mecca with the County Welfare Directors Association on behalf of the 58 County Human Services Directors who work every day to stem the tide of homelessness that's undermining our ability to get what you want from our systems, which is people to go to work and abused and neglected people to be protected. We work hard within our programs and across other local entities to try to cobble together and coordinate services to fight homelessness. We believe the Interagency Council would greatly facilitate those local efforts by having that coordination occur at the state level as well. We've also had a tremendous amount of success with the CalWorks Housing Support Program created by the legislature 2 years ago, which employs the Housing First model. It's been terrifically successful, and so for these reasons, we support the bill.
Well, thank you.
Geraldine Stapleton, President of the California National Organization for Women, is in very strong support of this bill. We urge an aye vote.
Michelle Gibbons with the County Health Executives Association of California. We represent local health departments throughout our state and support.
Okay. Okay, other people that support it, people that oppose this bill? Move the bill. No, there's a motion. Senator Canella, yes.
Senator Mitchell, thank you for this bill. I do have a question. I think there's some concern that if this bill passes, Housing First will incentivize that, but it also could possibly defund other programs that do not focus on Housing First. Is that true, or does it not do that?
There are numerous programs, some right here in the city of Sacramento, that don't use the Housing First philosophy. They currently cannot get federal funds because federal HUD dollars follow the Housing First premise. And so if they can't currently receive federal dollars if they're not Housing First.
So no impact on those?
Not in terms of them receiving federal dollars, no.
Thank you.
I just want to say that, Senator, I served on the Santa Clara County Homeless Task Force I was the only legislator on it that came for over a year and a half, and we developed our homeless action plan. It's based on a Housing First model. I think we need to clearly coordinate between state agencies, so I think this council would not only be a benefit for helping homeless, it would help the state save money, because I think we're spending money too much in the silo effect, if you want to call it that. And I think this would allow more strategic planning for ending homelessness. We can probably succeed. Some people allege, I'm not sure I agree, but they allege that we don't really need any more money. We just have to spend the money more effectively and targeted to success-based programs that are proven to be successful. So I applaud you for this bill.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Yeah, Senator Allen.
I just want to echo my support for the bill and thank the author for doing so much due diligence on this issue. Going off to Utah, working with the folks from Poverty Matters in Los Angeles and elsewhere, and a lot of the activists, and then of course giving a great presentation to our caucus on this. I think you've done a lot of great work, and this is a important piece of our broader package in trying to address the chronic homelessness challenges that we have as a state.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
Thank you. Senator, would you like to close?
I would just say, sir, thank you very much for the opportunity. There are numerous peer-reviewed articles and studies in the cost savings associated with the Housing First model, housing attached to appropriate support services, the National Alliance to End Homelessness, the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, the Family Option Study, Department of Veterans Affairs, Supportive Services for Veterans Program. There are a number of counties across the state that are already using the Housing First model and find that it's effective. Fresno, Oakland, Los Angeles. Again, we want to work smarter rather than harder. The focus of public investment in homelessness shouldn't be to simply manage homelessness through increased costs to Caltrans or policing. The focus should be on how to reduce it, prevent it, and end repetitive experiences of homelessness. With that, we hope you will support the concept of Housing First in the Coordinating Council and vote aye for this bill. I thank you.
Hey, any more questions? Call the roll, please. Have a motion.
The motion is do pass as amended and re-refer to the Committee on Appropriations. Senators Bell?
Aye.
Bell, aye. Cannella? Cannella, aye. Allen?
Aye.
Allen, aye. Bates? Gaines? Galgiani? Leyva? Leyva, aye. McGuire? McGuire, aye. Mendoza? Roth? Roth, aye. Wachowski?
We have 6 votes. We'll wait. Thank you, Senator. We'll wait to other members come to cast their votes. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We're going to move to item 11. This is SB 1259. Senator Runner is absent today, and in her stead, we have an adequate replacement of Senator Cannella. So
Lesser member for sure.
Senator Cannella will present SB 1259. Senator, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm here to present SB 1259 on behalf of Senator Runner. As you mentioned, SB 1259 provides that the vehicle of any veteran that displays a specialized veteran's license plate shall be exempt from paying a fee for assessing California toll bridges or roads. Veterans who qualify for honorary plates have been wounded, disabled, held prisoner, or have demonstrated extraordinary valor in combat. The DMV offers special recognition license plates to disabled veterans, Pearl Harbor survivors, former POWs, and recipients of the Army Medal of Honor, Navy Medal of Honor, Air Force Medal of Honor, Army Distinguished Service Cross, Navy Cross, Congressional Medal of Honor, and Purple Heart. The largest group of veterans within these is the 7,500 who are Purple Heart recipients. SB 1259 was inspired in part by a toll waiver program in Texas, which allows veterans to drive on toll roads free of charge. This measure simply provides a small measure of recognition to California veterans who have served our country with particular service and decision. I would also like to note that Senator Runner will be accepting the amendment suggested in comment 4 of the analysis. Thank you, and I ask for an aye vote.
Thank you. We passed out the amendments. Any questions? Yeah, we have a motion. Is there any supporters? You want to just?
Thank Senator Runner's staff.
I'm Charles Fennessy with Senator Runner's staff.
Thank you.
She was taken with the fact that this is a small and diminishing number of individuals, mostly of significant age.
Thank you. Other speakers in favor? Opponents? Speaker opponents? We see none. We have a motion. No more questions. Call the roll, please.
The motion is do pass as amended and re-refer to the Committee on Appropriations. Senators Bell?
Aye.
Bell, aye. Cannella? Aye. Cannella, aye. Allen? Allen, aye. Bates? Bates, aye. Gaines? Galgiani? Leyva? Leyva, aye. McGuire? McGuire, aye. Mendoza? Roth? Roth, aye. Wachowski?
Yeah, 7 votes. We'll wait till the other members come to cast their votes. There's a motion to approve the consent calendar. Can we call the roll? Consent calendar, please.
The motion is due pass and re-referred to the Committee on Appropriations with recommendation to consent. Senators Bell?
Aye.
Bell, I. Cannella?
Aye.
Cannella, I. Allen? Allen, I. Bates? Bates, I. Gaines? Galgiani? Leyva? Leyva, I. McGuire? McGuire, I. Mendoza? Roth? Roth, I. Wachowski.
7 votes in favor. We'll wait till other members come to cast their votes.
That's just Senator, SB 940, Senator Vidax. We don't know if we can pick that up yet.
I can present my bill. I can turn that.
He already presented it.
Yeah. I don't know if everybody's here. It's like, here, pass the gavel.
All right, so we have SB 824 by our chairman. Thanks, sir.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members. Presenting SB 824. This is a bill concerning the Low Carbon Transit Operations Program, or LC-TOP as we call it. This program was established in 2014 by the legislature. The program provides public transit agencies with both operating and capital assistance for the purposes of reducing greenhouse gas emissions and improving mobility. It's funded by 5% continuous appropriation from the proceeds of the cap-and-trade auction, and funds are distributed to transit agencies via the State Transit Assistance Formula, or STA formula. For agencies whose service area includes disadvantaged communities, at least 50% of the funds they receive from this program must be spent on projects or services that benefit those communities. In the first funding cycle, transit agencies across the state used this program to fund a wide variety of projects. The program paid for service extensions on existing bus routes, clean vehicle purchases, new bus shelters, and discounted transit pass programs. Over 90% of the funds were spent on projects that benefit disadvantaged communities. However, some transit agencies did not actually use their funds from this program at all. This is due to the fact that many transit agencies receive a small formula share, or formula shares that are small relative to their needs. These agencies need additional flexibility in order to spend their shares, their transit shares, for the benefit of the climate and communities they serve. This bill makes a variety of changes to the program to give transit agencies that flexibility. Transit agencies have asked for these changes based on their experiences in the first year. Last year, we did SB 9 in this committee and made similar changes to another cap-and-trade funded program. That's a transit and intercity rail capital program to accomplish the similar goals. These changes are necessary to ensure that the proceeds from California's cap-and-trade auction do not go to waste. Instead, let's make sure that these funds are used to improve public transit in the state of California and prevent greenhouse gas emissions. We have witnesses, and I'll turn it over to our witnesses, Mr. Chairman.
Witnesses in support?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee members. My name is Kurt Evans. I'm with the Santa Clara Valley Transportation Authority, and we are co-sponsoring SB 824 along with the California Transit Association. The bill is based on lessons learned from the old Proposition 1B transit program and from the first rounds of programming of LC-TOP funding. SB 824 does a couple of things. It adds a few new tools to the LC-TOP toolbox. It makes a couple of existing tools that have been incorporated into the program's guidelines by Caltrans work better, and it provides as much flexibility as possible. The intent here is to ensure that all public transit agencies are in a position to maximize greenhouse gas emissions reductions in a way that makes the most sense for their individual systems. SB 824 recognizes that there are any number of ways that a public transit agency can reduce greenhouse gas emissions, both operating and capital expenditures. And what might work for my agency may not be the wisest investment for someone else. This bill would ensure that the necessary tools and flexibility are in place to allow all public transit agencies to get the most out of their LC-TOP formula shares. Respectfully ask for your aye vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Matt Robinson on behalf of the California Transit Association. We represent over 200 members, mainly all of your largest transit operators, all the way down to some of your small and medium-sized operators, providing service throughout this state. As it's been said, this bill makes a number of improvements on the existing LC-TOP program, largely based on feedback and lessons learned from our member agencies who are required to implement this program on the ground in both 14-15 and the current fiscal year 15-16. I think the chair and Mr. Evans did a great job of laying out what the bill's intentions are and what it will do. And just, again, like to thank Mr. Bell for his continued effort to improve the programs that we subscribe to from Cap and Trade. If I may take just a moment to address some of the concerns regarding the bill's removal of the requirement to expand transit service or increase mode share. I think it's important for us to keep in mind that the primary goal of AB 32 is to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and we believe by allowing some flexibility in the use of these funds, we're able to do just that. And if I could give one example that currently wouldn't be allowed, but I think we would all agree is a very good investment of these funding, if there was a system that had a diesel burning bus that was operating right now, and it simply wanted to use this money to take that diesel bus off the street and replace it with a zero emission vehicle, it wouldn't be allowed to do that under current statute. That's one of the quickest ways to get GHG reductions, and oftentimes those reductions will occur right up front, as opposed to sometimes what you're waiting for when you get a ramp up in ridership that may occur over a number of years. So I'd ask you to consider that. You know, again, our main goal here is to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and we think we've been doing a very good job of that. We've also, I'll just hammer home the disadvantaged community benefits that we realized in the first year. We saw a 93% benefit to disadvantaged communities out of this program and 95% out of the TIRCP. Those are pretty phenomenal numbers given the state's goals and previously stated priorities for this program. So with that, I'll ask for your aye vote, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you. All right, in interest of time, if we can keep future comments brief, just your name, organization, and your support. Except for the chairman. He can do whatever he wants.
Well, good afternoon. Steve Wallach on behalf of the Alameda Contra Costa Transit District, the Napa Valley Transportation Authority, and the California Association for Coordinated Transportation, CalACT, are also all in support of this bill and urge your support.
Thank you.
Gus Coyne on behalf of the San Mateo County Transportation Authority in support of the bill.
Michael Pimentel here on behalf of San Mateo County Transit District, as well as Caltrain in support.
Great. Other witnesses in support, name, organization, and support, please.
Chairman and members, Delaney Hunter on behalf of the Ventura County Transportation Commission, and thank you to Chairman Bell for taking the amendment. We sought.
Thank you.
Audrey Durfer on behalf of San Bernardino Associated Governments in support.
Thank you.
Chairman and members, Andrew Antwi with Shaw Yoder Antwi here today on behalf of the Los Angeles County Metropolitan Transportation Authority. We think this bill adds much needed flexibility and puts the funds to great use, and I think the important point is that any additional funding displaces local dollars that could be used for transit operations. Ask for your vote.
Thank you very much. Others in support? Anyone in opposition? Right. Just got a couple of minutes apiece, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Chelsea Tu. I'm a staff attorney with Public Advocates. With all due respect to Chair Bell, who's my family's state senator, Public Advocates must regretfully oppose SB 824. I'd also like to note a number of groups that are in opposition that are not all listed in the bill analysis before you. The Asian Pacific Environmental Network, California Bicycle Coalition, the Gamilio of California, Environmental Council of Sacramento, Investing in Place in California Walks, Housing California, California Housing Partnership Corporation, California Relief, Move LA, and Trust for Public Land. As the chairman noted, the dual requirement in the Low Carbon Transit Operations Program is to reduce greenhouse gases and directly enhance or expand transit service to include mode share. In other words, all LCTOP or LCTOP projects must demonstrate greenhouse gas reductions as well as an increase in ridership. And as noted in the bill analysis, this latter requirement is primarily an operating expense. However, this bill would eliminate this overarching requirement to operate more service for all LCTOP projects. And unfortunately, this change will directly impact low-income families of color whose mobility require the funding from this program, and whose mobility this program was created to support. The sponsor of this bill, Santa Clara VTA, offers a case in point. 76% of VTA bus riders are people of color. 77% of VTA's bus riders make $50,000 or less a year. And since 2001, VTA has cut its bus service by 15%, as the San Jose Mercury News article recently pointed out. As a result, VTA's service has lost 30% of its bus ridership. This is a big problem before you that you need to address. VTA's $3.5 million share of LCTOP funding for fiscal year 15-16 could be used to run more bus services and bring low-income riders back onto its buses. However, enabling transit agencies to spend this money on capital projects will come at the expense of these low-income and minority families. We've appreciated working with Chair Bell in order to reach a compromise that allows this program to continue prioritizing the needs of low-income families and families of color in the Bay Area and beyond, while also affording transit operations the flexibility they need. But these transit-oriented dependent riders were not at the table when VTA decided to sponsor this bill. The bus drivers whose jobs depend on the operations dollars that this program could provide were also not at the table. We therefore urge your no vote on this bill. But if this bill does pass, we respectfully ask for the opportunity to continue working with the senator so that the interests of all affected stakeholders, especially low-income bus riders, as well as bus drivers, will be included in this bill. Thank you very much.
Right, other witnesses in support?
Sure thing. Thank you. Joshua Stark with Transform. We appreciate the Senator's history of transit and supporting and encouraging transit investments, both operations and capital over his history. Unfortunately, we must oppose SB 824. Among the other issues, I'll stay brief so that we can deal with one major provision. By separating greenhouse gas reductions from ridership and mode shift, the bill's language changes the very nature of the program. Currently, the Low Carbon Transit Operations Program is the only greenhouse gas reduction fund program where operations are an eligible expense. The program is small by GGRF standards, receiving only 5% of the fund's dollars. By transportation dollar standards, it's downright minuscule. If tied up in capital projects, the effect of these dollars will be greatly diminished. But if the dollars are put to use in ways that directly increase ridership, especially when invested in the types of service that improve and expand operations into communities with the highest propensity ridership, which are they will overwhelmingly benefit disadvantaged and low-income communities and communities of color, while quickly and effectively reducing greenhouse gases. And when they're used to support actual services to riders, they can stave off the kinds of impacts that lead to falling ridership, namely cuts in service routes, fare increases, and lengthened times between buses. And the state is investing hundreds of millions of dollars from the GGRF annually for important capital projects, which we do support. For GGRF programs, invest in various transit projects and zero and near zero emissions bus purchases without having to show ridership increases in at least 3 different pots from the GGRF and at least 1 federal pot of funds. These are eligible expenses without having to point to actual ridership increases. And we generally, as a community, support these investments as well. But we all know that transit gets its GHG reductions from riders. And watching transit operating dollars falling away at the same time, the state must invest in expanding ridership by providing operating dollars that incentivize operations now. The LC TOP is the only program that puts a fine point on that fact. SB 824, in changing the connection between and removing the connection between GHG and ridership, severs that connection and greatly diminishes the effectiveness of these dollars in reducing greenhouse gases in ways that benefit all Californians. And therefore, we ask you to oppose. Thank you.
Other in opposition, state your name, organization, your opposition, please.
Bill McGavin with the Coalition for Clean Air. We have great respect for the chairman's advocacy for transit, but we have similar concerns to those voiced by public advocates in Transform.
Thank you.
Jeannie Wardwaller with the California Bicycle Coalition. Also appreciate the chair's work in this area, but we have to oppose. I'll align my comments with the other speakers and just also add that operating and maintaining good transit service that's affordable to low-income users is also critical to the same folks that have to walk and bike to access that transit. And so these modes are supportive of each other, and we unfortunately have to oppose this bill.
Thank you. Others in opposition? See none. Questions? Senator Roth.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. I'll be supporting this bill. I appreciate the flexibility that it affords agencies. But I have a question, and I've asked this in different contexts in different committees, and it has to do with greenhouse gas emissions and metrics. And I note that the bill requires agencies to demonstrate that projects reduce greenhouse gas emissions in order to receive funds. And further on, it provides that there will be an audit of public transit operator finances. But what metrics exist in the scheme, in our scheme here, to actually measure what the outcome is and measure the actual reduction in greenhouse gas emissions? And again, I've asked this in of other folks in other contexts, and I've not been getting much of an answer, and I'm not an environmentalist, and so maybe I just don't know.
Well, just 2 points. First of all, this LC TOP program, it's a program for both capital and operating. It's right in the law. It says it right there. It says capital and operating. And what they mean by capital in this case is the ability to buy a bus or buy a piece of equipment that reduces greenhouse gas emission, or have an operational increase that reduces greenhouse gas emission. This law that I'm proposing does not change the requirement that greenhouse gas emission be measured and performance be required in terms of greenhouse gas emission. There's no change in that. There's no change in the law that it served low-income communities. We have a law on that. We had SB 535. There's no change in that. This is the same law. In fact, as we said earlier, 90-something% of this money is used for low-income eligible programs. So the program, the financial part of what I'm trying to do here is to use the money, not change those laws, but use the money more effectively and efficiently. And that's the issue here for me. It's to use the money more effectively and efficiently and allow some flexibility in the transit agencies to do so.
Well, I'm completely supportive of the bill. We probably should have my question discussed in a different context, in a different forum.
Senator Roth, if I may, I can just give him a quick answer to the
Very quick, please.
question. In the first year of the program, because it was such a small appropriation, it received $25 million. The Transit Association and stakeholders worked with ARB and Caltrans to develop a set of project types that were understood to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, such as buying an electric bus or expanding bus service, adding a new bus route, electrified rail, things like that, transit passes. These were all eligible project types that could be put forth for Caltrans and ARB consideration. In this current year, what we're working with is ARB has actually developed metrics that we have to then put certain inputs in that spit out the GHG outcome, which is very similar to what other programs like the Transit and Intercity Rail Capital Program, as well as the Affordable Housing and Sustainable Communities Program, put their projects through.
Good. Good. I look forward to seeing those. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair.
Senator Allen?
Yeah, okay. I am just having a hard time reconciling what I'm hearing from the author and the proponents and the folks who are in opposition. And on so many things, they're before this committee advocating for the exact same bills. We've got, folks from the California Transit Association and Transform, and they're often, as I say, like they're usually here, Move LA, they're usually here advocating on the same thing. So we get these analyses along with the other 50 bills that we're considering for today a couple days before, and we're trying to sit here and struggle through all the details. I have a lot of respect for both the author and the opponents. I'm just hopeful you'll be able to work out these differences as you move forward, but I'm sensing a certain he said, she said, and I'm used to that with certain interest groups when they're before the legislature, but not necessarily with these interest groups. And so if someone can shed some light on this and help me better understand, whether it be the bike folks, the Transit Association, the author, et cetera.
We look at each other and smile because we totally feel what you're saying. I think what it comes down to, if I may, and I'll be dead probably, is that GHG reductions in the LCTOP, the LCTOP is designed to emphasize reductions through ridership by increasing mode share or mode shift away from cars and increasing ridership. And in particular, when you couple that with the 50% disadvantaged community requirements within the current program, that means targeting those communities who have been for decades underinvested in or not invested in, or service hasn't reached them, or service has not maintained reliability in their communities, and use this as a way, understanding that not only are they people who need to get around, and this is the most efficient way to do it, but who need that safety and reliability. And that the language that it currently works under, where it connects that with ridership, doesn't exist in those other pots. And you can see that those other pots are then capital exclusive. In fact, now they're all basically capital exclusive, and there's hundreds of millions of dollars going to those. And this is the one last pot where operations is the only eligible use in the GGRF. And it focuses on ridership, and it focuses on ridership into those communities that we, as a community here of advocates, most care about.
So I brought up that exact point to Senator Bell this morning when we were chatting about something else in the hall, and he seems to have a totally different take on that.
Well, there is a different take.
Yeah.
I served as the sort of the allocations committee for the Metropolitan Transportation Commission, and I think that one of the things we don't want to do with allocation to transit districts is we don't want to start putting real severe restrictions that are not in the law on the transit agencies. And I think what I'm trying to do here with this bill is to allow that flexibility for the transit agencies to actually reduce greenhouse gas emissions, to actually do things like allow transfers, loans, and pooling. That's in our bill. Letters of no prejudice, multi-year funding, then get reimbursements, auditing, banking, allow banking. I'll just point out this is not a lot of money. The eligible allocation this year is $75 million. Lassen County got $33,000. So don't you think they should bank that and try to spend that in a more efficient measure? Here, let me get another one. Imperial County got $193,000. Let's get some. San Bernardino got about 2.5 million. So when they get this money, it's given to them on the formula to their transit agencies. That's the county allocation. And then think of how many transit districts are in that county. They all get a little piece. So it's like, it's all divided up under the SCA formula in these little pieces. And that's if you want to develop a strategic plan on how to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and allow the flexibility to do that, you can't do it by dividing them it all up in these little pieces that they can't realistically spend money in too many different ways. So that's the issue. I'm trying to make it more effective and efficient.
Thank you, Senator Bell. I think Senator Wachowski wanted to say something.
I'd like to move the bill.
Okay, we have a motion. Any other questions? Would you like to close, Senator Bell?
I'd like to write both. Thank you.
Okay. Have the Secretary call the roll, please.
The motion is do pass and re-refer to the Committee on Appropriations. Senators Bell? Bell, aye. Cannella?
Aye.
Cannella, aye. Allen?
Aye.
Allen, aye. Bates? Bates, aye. Gaines? No. Galgiani? Galgiani, aye. Leyva? Leyva, aye. McGuire? McGuire, aye. Mendoza? Mendoza, aye. Roth? Roth, aye. Wachowski? Wachowski, aye.
10 to 1. That bill is out.